Okay, you're gonna need a good carburetor cleaner, a 5/32 Allen wrench, a flathead screwdriver, and a towel or an old t-shirt. This is my first time ever cleaning the carburetor on my son's Comer 50cc engine. You'll want to start by removing the air filter and the clip that holds it on. All you really need to do is just pull on the outsides and they come right out of the holes. Before you remove the fuel line, you'll want to make sure that the valve is closed, and then you can just pull the hose right off the nozzle. There are 2 screws that hold on the throttle cable. You just unscrew those. Careful when you take it off. There's a spring and the throttle cable hooks through like a little plate. So you just want to take that out and then set it aside together. Make sure that you don't lose any parts. There's a clamp that holds it on to the rest of the engine. You'll need your 5/32 Allen wrench to loosen that screw so that you can kind of just pull it right off. Once you get it loose, you just kind of wiggle and it'll slide right off. Once you get the carburetor off, you want a nice clean surface prepared. I just used a table with a white towel so that I could easily see any parts. The first thing that you're going to want to take off is the little fuel thing down there. It holds all the fuel in it. There's 2 screws holding that on. So you just unscrew those, and inside there is I think they call it a float, and a needle. So you want to be careful when you get that off that you don't lose any of those parts. What I do, a good tip that somebody told me, is when you take anything off, just go ahead and set it on the table in the same orientation as it was when you took it off. So I noted that the head of the carburetor, I guess, is facing away from me. That's the float. There's a little needle in there, a little pin. You can just use anything really to help slide it out. It just goes right in that little hole. You just lift straight up and the needle just kind of hangs right in there on top of the float. Just like that. Just slide it in and out. Okay, I'm keeping all those together. So then you get your carburetor cleaner with a nice pointy straw. I gave it a good once over on the outside, a little bit on the inside. And then there are intake valves and for fuel and air, and there is also I think the 2 valves are used for the same in this carburetor. So you have your intake and an exhaust valve for, I guess. I don't really know much about this engine. This is my very first time cleaning the carburetor, so I know that there's a valve in that little screw too, so hit that up. Might be a little bit of an overkill, but since I'm not very familiar with the carburetor, I just sprayed until I was sure it was clean. Spraying off the float and again the outside near the fuel line goes, and once again just hitting up the outside. It looks pretty clean to me, so so you want to put the needle back on the float it goes right down in a little hole, and then put the pin back in. And then you just want to put the little bowl, I guess, back on over top of it and screw it back in. Now, I've heard that you should do this after every race. Now that I've done it once, I'm pretty confident that I can do it after every race. These do get clogged up quite quickly. And what can happen if you don't keep it clean, you can run slower, your engine can be very sluggish, or it can stall while it's idling, or even when you try to accelerate, the engine will just die on you. So it is a really good idea to keep it clean as often as you can. So it's definitely one of the things that I've learned. And unless you have somebody that you can pay to clean it after every race, it's a good thing to just go ahead and give it a shot and try it. Once you get it cleaned and everything, and you've cleaned the air filter, get it free of debris and everything, it just slides right back on. And then you just tighten that bolt again, and it will clamp down on that little pipe. After that, you want to put the throttle cable back on. What you'll do is just slide the throttle cable into a little groove and then center the spring around it. It just slides right in there, and then the spring. And you want to kind of hold it together as you slide it in. There's just a little groove that it slides along. And you'll tighten the 2 screws back up again. Give it a little tug first to make sure that you've got it in there okay and the spring is holding it. Once you get the throttle cable on there and the screws are relatively tight, give it a couple of tugs just to make sure you feel that springy, that tension. Slide the air filter back on. You can put the clip back on it. I've also seen hose clamps used. I guess either one is really efficient. And then just slide your fuel line back on the nozzle. And that's it. Okay, thanks guys so much for watching. I really hope this was helpful, and good luck to all you fellow Kid Kart parents.